Hello everybody. Well, this sounds kind of hideous, but you know, after the 2007 and around recently there have been recalls in Chinese toxic products. The recalls on Chinese drywall, those recalls on Chinese drywall has killed killed millions of American consumers for consuming Chinese drywall and houses built on Chinese drywall. Well, Chinese toothpaste. Well, there was a dihydroglycol. There's like an element DEG that is found in antifreeze in Chinese toothpaste. So now to the conclusion, would you trust big corporations? The companies that make your drywall, the companies that make your toothpaste that makes your toothpaste. Will you have these brands? Will you trust them? Well, for a matter of fact, or for a matter of this kind of things, China will enter the stage of terrorism. Why? I have to tell you one thing only of CEOs. CEOs from these big US companies that make drywall and toothpaste, as for example, this well-known toothpaste is made by a British company called GlaxoSmithKline, known as Aquafresh. Well, sooner or later, the CEO will not be from Britain, but it would be from a particular country, most likely a Muslim country, would have Aquafresh made in China. That is, the recalls from Aquafresh toothpaste made in China will be big. So the deaths of the people consuming Aquafresh toothpaste manufactured in China containing the element that contains antifreeze, the records would show that would go to groups, that what would happen is what are they gonna do right there? Are they gonna get sad? No, they're gonna throw a big party. They're gonna celebrate. They'll just go celebrate like it was a great reward. But they will have special special factories that could make products outside of China only for the Muslim community and Muslim nations. And that's how things going to work. For the non-Muslims, you'll have Chinese toothpaste. You're not gonna find toothpaste made outside of China. You're gonna die. We're doing God's greatest will. That's one thing. But but we have to focus in there is US companies, and US companies preventing this kind of thing, is that once they want to be a CEO of these companies, a person being a CEO of Colgate-Palmolive or Procter Gamble, or a company, especially a company probably the company that makes drywall, that makes the sheetrock brand drywall, would have to have religious profiling. Religious profiling is that, well, it doesn't matter if you're a Middle Eastern and a Christian, and that's okay. There's no risk about it. No matter, your drywall ain't going to be made in China. For example, this thing of religious profiling for the companies that based here in the US that makes drywall and toothpaste. Let's say for example, if there is no religious profiling, what would happen with the company that makes sheetrock? So let's put the example right there. The CEO will be is born in Saudi Arabia, and he want to be the CEO of the company that makes the sheetrock drywall. Then after that, one thing will happen, that he'll decide that he or she will have a decision to make the drywall in China. So that means that it will take some specific special what should we call it? Special realtors and stuff to notice if there's a Muslim coming in. They have to take out the Chinese drywall and put out the non-safe Chinese, non-Chinese made safe drywall for them. Well, in that case, for a matter of fact, the recalls of the company that makes sheetrock drywall, the person will say, no, believe it or not, if people try to believe, they will say that the sheetrock drywall from our Chinese factories is made with the same safety standards as our American counterparts. He'll say that will you believe? It's a lie. It's BS. That way would mention is anyone who dies, and and then you see, oh yeah, I got sheetrock drywall, but my cables in there is black, and then the copper wiring is black, and everything is black and everything like that. Yeah, it's sheetrock. Yeah, because anyway, the CEO is from Saudi Arabia, but your drywall is from China, comes from China. See how it is? Not having this kind of religious profiling, and to have all these makeup special things, special realtors, special person that they expect that these drywalls are safe for them. They take down the Chinese drywall, and will get the drywall that is made outside of China, made for the Muslims. And that's how it's going to work in that case. Same thing with everything. Yeah, and that's what we have to have, religious profiling in companies that makes drywall, because we want to prevent Chinese-made drywall and prevent special factories that make drywall outside of China that will be made in Middle Eastern country with all the safety standards, while us, the non-Muslims, will have to purchase Chinese-made drywall because we cannot, they're not gonna sell the one that is not made in China, because they say that the Chinese-made drywall is safe, and we all die, and they go and celebrate and throw a party and say like God is great in Arabic, like Allah Akbar, for any American customer dying from Chinese-made drywall with the brand name sheetrock or any other U.S. brand if the CEO is a Muslim. Yeah, if the CEO is a Muslim. That's it. Same thing with toothpaste. Well, the two major brands that make toothpaste, they have is Procter and Gamble and Colgate-Palmolive. That means that either way, even a free trade with China could help these people, cut down the factories for the U.S. workers and make the drywall in China for the U.S., except for the Muslim community that will make it in special factories. That's what it is. The only way to get safe drywall, you gotta go to a Muslim community stores and stuff, and buy the non-Chinese made drywall. That's it. That's another way to put it about it. But with toothpaste, well, example for a toothpaste manufacturer. You have Colgate-Palmolive and Procter and Gamble. Well, the reason of the recalls of this, and there's going to be more recalls, is that they're going to do something with the toothpaste. Once you don't have no religious profiling in those companies that have that make toothpaste in the US, because sooner or later Aquafresh is going to manufacture toothpaste in China once a Muslim takes over GlaxoSmithKline from Britain, and then there's going to be a recall for Aquafresh in the United States. How people die from toxic toothpaste with the Aquafresh brand made by a third-party Chinese company. Well, this is also why China is helping them make their weapons of terror, like with drywall and toothpaste. That's one thing. That's the only thing. It's gonna be finding your, the weapons of terror. The things that terrorists will use are you find it in the supermarket. Toothpaste made by big companies, and they make them in China. At Home Depot, drywall made by these big US companies, and they make them in China. And that's how they're gonna use this new tactic of terrorism. Another thing of that, because once the CEO, let's say the CEO of Colgate-Palmolive would be somebody that never have changed their religion, but like somebody who is a Muslim, and they never check the profiling of what they're gonna do and what is the situation of where to make this toothpaste by those third-party companies that make toothpaste that kill people here in the United States. Well, the person will do is he or she might have this thing of cooperating with the Chinese third-party company to make the toothpaste in China to be sold in the United States. Then what would do with the other factories, that even though factories that are made that they make them in the Muslim countries will be the safer ones, are going to be safer, because they're not going to sell the Chinese-made Colgate in those countries only for the United States, except for the Muslim communities. They'll be like, they come in, recalls from Colgate-Palmolive in New York City. The guy will say the Colgate toothpaste is made with the same rigorous U.S. safety standards for the ones made in China sold for the U.S. as their American-made counterparts. And they say the one you want a toothpaste for $10, you buy made in America. You want to afford it, we gotta make them in China. Well, that's one thing but that's just for the non-Muslim community. Put it that way, that's what would happen when you have no religious profiling, when a CEO of Colgate-Palmolive is a Muslim. We cannot allow Muslims to be controlling to be the CEOs of Colgate-Palmolive or Procter and Gamble, or companies that make sheetrocks, because drywall, because they will make a drywall in China. That way to attack us, a form of terrorism. Well, another way it is to have prevention is, let's say, Crest. I buy Crest. I love to use Crest toothpaste. Once there's a CEO, let's say the CEO, the guy was born in Iraq, but he never changed his religion. Finally, the guy will have set up with a third-party company in China that will make Crest toothpaste. It will close the U.S. factory. It will have Procter & Gamble might have a factory in the Middle East only to sell the toothpaste for the Muslim countries and for the Muslim communities. but everybody else will have to buy the Chinese-made Crest toothpaste. That way is a record of the Chinese-made Crest toothpaste consumed by Americans. The death of Americans, most likely the non-Muslim community dies. It will give out to the terrorist group, and they will throw a party and celebration, and they're gonna party like there's no tomorrow because they kill American non-Muslims and Americans for consuming toxic DEG-contained Crest toothpaste made by a third-party company in China. Well, and that's what it is. It is necessary to have religious profiling for companies that make drywall, for companies that make toothpaste, to prevent these things from Chinese drywall made by American companies and have special factories only to make drywall for Muslim communities, and also to prevent Colgate-Palmolive and Procter Gamble to make the Colgate toothpaste and Crest branded toothpaste in China for the US and non-Muslim countries, for non-Muslim communities, and that to make the toothpaste in their respective Islamic countries that is safer than the Chinese made only for the Muslim countries and the Muslim communities. Well, the first thing and the first recall was going to happen when a Muslim take over GlaxoSmithKline will be recalls from Aquafresh made by a third-party company in China. Well, the CEO will tell, look, let's have a party. Look, we kill all these people because they purchased our toothpaste made from the third-party company in China. Well, we don't buy Aquafresh with the CEO of that company as a Muslim. That in the United States of America, we need to have religious profiling, that Muslims are not allowed to control companies that make our toothpaste, like Procter & Gamble and Colgate-Palmolive, and U.S. companies that make the drywall that will shift production for the drywall in China, so the Muslim countries can make their drywall that is safer than the Chinese-made ones. So they will not use this kind of tactics of terrorism with toothpaste and drywall that is made in China. Well, China is going to provide this tool of terrorism to let them celebrate until we become Muslimized and give us factories back, and not to provide Chinese-made products if we're a Chinese-made drywall and toothpaste, and if this country becomes a Muslim country. And that's how it is why it's necessary in the U.S. to have religious profiling for companies that makes drywall and toothpaste here in America. Goodbye.